Dr. Bansi and team for this wonderful virtual conference. And in this COVID era, it is a great opportunity to meet without even traveling. If they're sitting at your home, you're able to attend such a big conference. Uh, and it's a great opportunity. And today I don't want to extend because we're already going short of time. I'm just going to give the first part of the diabetic symposium talk. Following speakers will be more dealing into the depths of it, but I'll just give a short run what causes diabetic foot ulcers and its long-term complications, outcomes. Well, I don't know whether the slide is clear, but let me just go through it. We know the burden is high, and we know 50% of non-traumatic amputations are due to diabetes, and 85% of amputations due to untreated or inadequately treated diabetic foot ulcers. And 60% of the admissions are due to diabetic foot problems. Now, if you look at this, this is a very thing that we can understand that about 25% of these diabetic patients can develop diabetic foot ulcers in their lifetime. Among all the people with diabetes, up to 4% annually develop diabetic foot ulcers and other problems into amputations. So you can see that patients who develop infected foot ulcers have 55% increased risk of hospitalization. And the presence of DFU for 30 days or longer carries fourfold risk of infection. And peripheral arterial vascular disease and neuropathy are major contributing factors for diabetic foot ulcers. So it's very important to note this. A presence of DFU for 30 days or longer carries fourfold increased risk of infection, and also infected foot ulcers have about 55 times increased risk of hospitalization. I've already said that many of the time it is inadequate treatment or late referrals or even late treatment which leads to a small ulcer going in for an amputation. Now this all, I'm sure that most of us present in this forum are aware of this, but I just would like to highlight the causal pathway or the multiple causation pathology, the neuropathy, which is 85% of the cases of the ulcers. And then you also have vascular problems, and then a trauma, which can all aggravate the problem. And the bottom, you can see diabetes with neuropathy, with ulcer, then finally with infections and amputations. So diabetic foot can be either a neuropathic or a vascular ulcer, or even a combination. When it is infected, then it becomes a major problem. So the risk factors, we have many. We have the the neuropathy, vascular problems, the foot pressures, the hyperglycemia, trauma, the deformities, limited joint mobilities, previous ulcers and amputation, poor vision, old age, duration of diabetes, all can contribute to the risk factors for diabetic foot ulcers. Again, I have told you the ischemia, neuropathy, and infection is the three main etiologies. And this is the pathophysiology. Now, I don't know whether you can read it, but then it's also the same thing, the neuropathy, peripheral vascular disease, which leads to the ulcers, and barefoot walking, improper footwears, lack of education to our patients, lack of education to healthcare providers, and lack of foot protection service, which all can lead to ulcers, also infections, and finally lead to amputations. Also, all these also can lead to neuropathy, which can lead to also Charcot arthropathy, again, which can lead to ulcers and which can lead to amputations. So again, as I said, the neuropathy, these are the healthy nerves, and once the loss of nerve function is the main problem in our Indian patients. The nerve and the blood vessels get damaged in the neuropathic foot, and then the supply to the nerves are occluded, and then the nerves also get into problems. Again, the musculoskeletal issues are a major issue. Once the neuropathy comes in, then slowly muscular deformities also develop, and then that also leads to ulcerations at different areas of the foot. So again, excessive pressure on the metatarsal heads resulted in marked callus buildup, and that further accelerated by dry skin, and the patient is at high risk for these kind of ulcers at different areas. So again, as I said, the Charcot arthropathy at the chronic stage, deformities are developed, then ulcers are developed. Now, different other problems are like the shoe bites. The injuries also can lead to foot ulcer formations like home surgeries or insect or rat bite, thermal injuries, foreign body injuries, vigorous massage, chemical injuries, etc. also can trigger already problematic foot with neuropathy or ischemia, which can also trigger to ulcerations as well. Now, high foot pressures is another problem with neuropathic patients, and which can also change the biomechanics of the foot, which can lead to high foot pressure areas. And in that areas, as I said, callus formations can come, and these are the changes which happens, and then callus have a higher 11-fold increased risk of developing an ulcer. Again, this is just to show you different areas where you can get calluses, metatarsal heads, and other things, and which can finally trigger infections, and which can go up the tendon sheath and get infected. Now, this is just to show you that you may see a callus and you may think there is no problem, but underneath there may be ulcer developing. Only when you do a callus removal, then if there is a hemorrhage, that is a sign that that area is going to ulcerate very fast. So it's better always to remove the callus, reduce the pressure so that the ulcer formation is reduced or the ulcer risk is reduced. Now, I just want to touch upon foot infections, which is another problem which I said. There are three stages of infection: the non-limb threatening, and life-threatening infection. Many a times, it is with the starting of a non-limb threatening infection, that is less than 2 centimeters of cellulitis from the portal of entry, is the non-limb threatening infection. And the limb threatening is more than 2 centimeters of cellulitis from that ulcer area, or then finally the life-threatening. Now, the main key is that if you can stop the progression from one stage to the other, when patient comes to you with the 2 centimeter cellulitis or less than that, then if you do the right thing and the good treatment at that point, then the infection won't proceed to the next two levels. That way you can save the leg from amputations. Now, this categorization of system, all of us know that category 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, again, 0 is with less risk, and 1 is with absence of protective sensation, and 2 is with also with deformities and PVDs, plus or minus PVDs, and lastly is already having an ulcer history or an amputation. Now, as the category increases, the risk for all amputation also increases. Now, this is the different how the risk assessment and of ulcers. Patients who have a low risk, we have to assess our patients who are chances for going for an ulceration and annual screening. But if already they have impaired sensations or skin deformities or calluses, then I think again a podiatry workup is needed to look into various areas. Again, if there is absent or reduced vascularity, then it needs higher. The risk becomes higher, and you need to definitely look into the management of the vascular problem as well. But if it is already more than that, the vasculopathy is much higher with severe infection, gangrene, etc., and then if your center is not adequately ready for it, then you may have to refer to a specialized podiatry team. Well, amputations are a serious predictor of death, and 6 of 10 patients who receive the first amputation die within 5 years. So nearly half of all unhealed neuropathic ulcers result in death within 5 years. So there is a high risk for amputations and high risk for death. A patient who is going for ulceration, and which is actually a neuropathic or a neuroischemic, they have a higher risk of death in the due course. So it's very important to manage these patients. So this also is another mortality study where they found that the increased mortality by 47%, 5-year mortality risk with the history of previous ulcer alone, and these are different other diseases. Like you can see, the neuropathic ulcers are at higher risk than even Hodgkin's cancer or breast cancer or prostate cancer. And the amputation rate is also higher. So again, lastly, I just want to touch upon that all these patients who have neuropathy as well as cardiac, vasculopathy, neurovascular problems where you have found out there is a vascular issue, you may be only targeting the ulcer, but don't forget to look into the cardiac issues. These are many times associated with cardiac problems. So we need to look into that. For that, we did a study. Patients who had ankle brachial index, which is already low, we circummed them to, did angiogram for these patients. And in this, what we found that, as the angle brachial index is increasing in these patients who come with an ulcer to you, if the patient is having severe vasculopathy, then the chances of coronary artery disease is also high. So the mortality while the patient undergoes a treatment with you is also a high chance. And today, with all these litigations and all the problems which is happening with the patients and relatives uh, in the Indian scenario, it is very important to look into that aspect as well when you treat diabetic foot ulcers, whether he has got a chance of coronary artery disease and whether because the hemodynamic instability can trigger a coronary artery disease when in your treatment center, and then that can lead to problems. I still remember a patient. This study was, I took up this study because of one reason. About many years back, I still remember a patient who came to my center. I was at Lakeshore, in my center at Lakeshore, and then patient came with an ulcer, and he was admitted for that ulcer. He was otherwise stable, and he was going for a workup. So he came in the evening around 5, and he got admitted in the hospital. He had he was a slightly limb-threatening infection with an ulcer, with cellulitis more than 2 centimeters of cellulitis. So then had to admit for injections and debridement. So what happened was, the same night he had a cardiac arrest and died. And the patients were very unhappy. They said they just came with uh, just an ulcer, and he had a cardiac arrest and he died. And they thought that it could be because of the insulin we started. Many times when the patient comes to your hospital and we admit the patient, if they are on OHAs and he's already on infections, we stop the OHAs and start on insulins. So they thought that it's because of the insulin he went into cardiac arrest. So, these are very dangerous things today's world. So I urge that patients with ulcers, they have a higher risk for problems, and look into that as well. So lastly, the cost is a major issue. The cost increases as the patients have got, infected ulcers are 2 times expensive than non-infective ulcers. And annual cost is per ulcer healed with conventional care is also very high. And also we know about the inpatient cost and other major cost of amputations, etc. So the cost is also very huge in treating foot ulcers, and if you don't treat it at the early stage, know the risk factors, understand and educate your diabetic foot patients, and then try to help them prevent it from worsening or even prevent it from recurring. I'm sure my next speakers who are going to follow me are going to highlight more into it. With this small introductory talk, I stop with thank you very much. The old Sanskrit saying, one who walks is good fortune, also marches ahead. So, well, we should protect the patient's foot, and he'll be thankful to you that he is able to walk on his foot, and you are able to give his life for a longer time. Thank you.